troops arriving in Greenland. The Danish military just posting these images that we're showing you of troops arriving in Greenland. Looks like already in darkness tonight. And it comes as our Jim Sciutto is now reporting that President Trump said on a call with the British Prime Minister that he may have been given, quote, bad information on why European troops were sent to Greenland. Now, Jim's reporting is according to a senior British official. The deployments of troops, though, we just showed you those latest images, but they also come from Germany, Sweden, France, Norway, the Netherlands, and Finland, a massive NATO statement, all on the heels of Trump's threats to, quote, have Greenland one way or the other. Trump threatening those countries militarily. They are, of course, all America's strongest allies, and also specifically threatening them in addition to military with hefty tariffs for their military show of force against his taking over Greenland. So if Trump was confused as to their motive or what they were saying, he certainly didn't wait to clarify the confusion. He immediately, had said he was going to impose 10% tariffs on those NATO allies, ramping it up to 25%. Now, based on what may be bad information, or is it a convenient excuse for an off-ramp to a situation that is troubling, terrifying, and spiraling, escalating? Because the text messages between the President of the United States and the Norwegian Prime Minister are unlike anything we've ever seen, frankly, from a president of the United States in any capacity, never mind between him and an ally. The Prime Minister of Norway, Jonas Gahr Støre, texting Trump yesterday afternoon, "Dear Mr. President, dear Donald, on the contact across the Atlantic, on Greenland, Gaza, Ukraine, and your tariff announcement yesterday, you know our position on these issues, but we believe we should all work to take this down and de-escalate. So much is happening around us where we need to stand together. We are proposing a call with you later today, with both of us or separately. Give us a hint of what you prefer. Best, Alex S." Personal, a text, obviously an attempt at de-escalation, a handshaking, trying to move past this. We should all work together. Give us a hint of what you prefer. Best. Well, a little less than an hour later, Trump responded. And as unfortunately the whole world is now well aware, it was not in kind. Writes, "Dear Jonas, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace." He continues to say, although it will always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. Denmark cannot protect that land from Russia or China. And why do they have a right of ownership anyway? There are no written documents. It's only that a boat landed there hundreds of years ago. But we had boats landing there also. I have done more for NATO than any other person since its founding. And now NATO should do something for the United States. The world is not secure unless we have complete and total control of Greenland. Thank you, President DJT. And as you could see there, all of the random capitalizations are as he wrote it. We are now learning that that message was then forwarded by the President's National Security Council. So people went and did this for him to multiple European ambassadors so they could understand this. Official screed from the President of the United States. Now, officials telling CNN that European diplomats are comparing Trump to Putin. And as for Putin, perhaps he never even dreamed of such an incredible moment. Just look at how Russia's state television is reacting to Trump pushing the NATO alliance to the brink over Greenland. This was uncovered by journalist Julia Davis.
Americans are delivering a catastrophic blow to NATO, because one country that is a member of NATO is taking away the territory that rightfully belongs to a country that is also a member of NATO.
I think this benefits us.
Well, I guess he's stating a fact. Yet Trump does seem intent on getting Greenland. He is now tying that to not winning the Nobel Peace Prize. The entire beginning of that text, was because I didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize. And that prize, as bizarre as this is now something we have to keep talking about because Trump has been obsessed with it. In fact, if you go all the way back to when former President Obama won it back in 2009, we can find this trail.
This guy got the Nobel Peace Prize, and every time I look, he's going into another country.
He got the Nobel Peace Prize. Okay, think of it. He got the Nobel Peace Prize.
But Norman got the Nobel Peace Prize.
He said, I have nominated you, or respectfully on behalf of Japan, I am asking them to give you the Nobel Peace Prize. I said, thank you.
I'm going to tell you about the Nobel Peace Prize.
All right, Jim Sciutto begins our coverage out front because, Jim, I know you have some brand new reporting here. What are you learning from your sources?
I'm told by a senior UK official that during their phone call on Sunday between Trump and the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, that President Trump conceded to Starmer that he may have been given bad information about that increased deployment of European troops to Greenland. What could that bad information be? Well, the intention of that deployment is to explore security needs for Greenland and perhaps to boost security for Greenland, in part to meet President Trump's demands. Did Trump interpret that deployment as instead a European defense against any U.S. involvement in Greenland? It's hard to know exactly what he misinterpreted there. I will say this, UK officials say that our Danish counterparts briefed the U.S. prior to that European deployment, and not only brief them, because I'm told by a senior Danish official that those deployments were coordinated between Europe and the U.S. through their existing military channels. That said, the UK is seeing that small concession from President Trump to Starmer as at least a potential path to de-escalation. They're looking for hope here, Aaron. But one thing that has not changed, I'm told, by UK officials, Danish officials, and others, is that President Trump has indicated no desire or willingness to move off his demand that the U.S. take Greenland somehow, some way, and that remains a red line for European leaders.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if that's what he's saying and that's what they're saying, then where we are, still bumping up against a wall. All right, Jim, thank you very much with all that new reporting. And Jim has more reporting coming up at 9 p.m. on The Source. Don't miss that with Jim. And a lot to get to with our experts here. Okay, Seth Jones, let me just start with you because I know you've had a lot of conversations with European officials here in these past hours. What are they feeling about this?
Aaron, they're feeling exasperated. I had one senior official who advises a head of state in Europe say that they just cannot understand that the biggest threat from NATO is not coming now from the Russians, although that is serious, but now from the Americans within NATO. That NATO, which has a 1951 pact in place to allow the United States to put space-based assets in, air defense assets in to protect the U.S. homeland, really the ability to protect U.S. national security assets, U.S. can do that with what is in place right now. So just exasperated that there is such a threat to the alliance right now from the U.S. for what most people do not fully understand the rationale, the strategic rationale for the president doing this.
Yeah, it's hard to find anyone who does when you lay it out like that. I mean, Dan, you're in Davos right now. Investors, CEOs, world leaders are there. Look, they're hearing Trump say, okay, we're going to put tariffs on our closest allies of 10%. We're going to ramp them up to 25%. And basically, unless the United States takes over Greenland. I mean, are people genuinely worried about this now?
Look, I could tell you, Aaron, I mean, it's definitely caused some white knuckles here at Davos because the worry in terms of the markets, okay, is this another, now we start going down the tariff route, is the bark going to be worse than the bite, which I ultimately believe it will be. But at a time that we're talking about U.S. ahead of China for the first time in 30 years when it comes to AI revolution and tech, this has been the conversation, I could tell you, in the pavilions, at all the events that I've seen today, going into what's going to be this sort of, an old Western standoff that we're going to see, when Trump comes here.